Hi, and welcome to Daddy-Daughter Movie Night, the show where we run through the good, the bad, the scary, and sometimes the awesome movies to watch with kids, with the goal of finding the good stuff quickly and save you some time. Today we're going to run through 7 different Winnie the Pooh titles, so you can pick the right one for movie night at your house. All of these are generally available on streaming, so let's get started. Let's go all the way back now to 1977 and the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh. If you're remembering Winnie the Pooh before 1977, as many of us probably are, it's because this film is essentially a compilation of the 1960s material that Walt Disney Company put out, including Winnie the Pooh and the Honey Tree in 1966, Winnie the Pooh and the Blustery Day in 1968, and Winnie the Pooh and Tigger 2, 1974, all combined here with some narration by Sebastian Cabot, who went on to set the tone for the Winnie the Pooh narrators for years to come. This film pretty much lays the groundwork for the 100 Acre Woods and its inhabitants. Sterling Holloway voiced Winnie the Pooh for many years to come after this. It's all enjoyable, all pretty much suitable for all ages. I will say I recall some misadventures with some bees, as Winnie is trying to steal their honey, of course. And my daughter, around the age of 2 or so, was a little worried that the bees were somehow going to sting her. But after that viewing, pretty much smooth sailing. I would say this is the one. This is the enduring classic Winnie the Pooh movie for pretty much all ages. You can stream it at your house tonight without much worry. And that takes us to 1997 and Pooh's Grand Adventure. This was kind of a weird one for my daughter and I to watch. It felt like they kind of lost the tone here a little bit in this one. Pooh goes off in search of Christopher Robin, who he believes has been kidnapped and taken to Skull Mountain after finding a note that simply says he's gone to school. So Pooh, Rabbit, Tigger, and Piglet go off to rescue him and head into the scary part of the 100 Acre Woods, where it gets a little bit too intense at times, a little bit too scary, even when they get to Skull Mountain. For a 2-year-old at the time, your mileage may vary, of course. It did have us riding the fast-forward button for a while until even into age 3, so it eventually became too much trouble to watch this one in my house, and we kind of let it get lost in the digital shuffle after a while. It hasn't been missed. But this movie does contain positive messages about loyalty, hope, and especially pushing through your fears and the nature of fear. They go back to things that scared them earlier because they were not familiar and see that they were not that scary at all. It's kind of an important message for kids to pick up on. But because it was scary for Abby, we haven't gone back to it. Maybe we will someday, but for now, not so much. Okay, that brings us to the very first spin-off, I guess you could call it, with the Tigger Movie. Have no fear, it's the same lovable gang of characters, with just an emphasis here on Tigger and his backstory, as he becomes convinced that he must have a family of Tiggers out there in the world somewhere, and decides to try and contact them. His friends play along a little too well, and don't want him to get hurt, until they finally make these Tigger costumes out of sacks and things that are just kind of these scary, lifeless, big-eyed, non-moving mouth. If you were going to make a horror movie with the Winnie the Pooh characters, you might just start with the scene where Tigger's fake family, dressed up in these sack costumes, come to call, and let everything go wrong from there. Because it's just weird, man. It's kind of, I couldn't get past it. And my daughter, who, I guess we watched it the first time in her, when she was 2, but even into age 3, she just watched it like this. And getting ready to cry. Not sure what to make of it. So your mileage may vary, but just be warned, there's some weird stuff in this movie. And it's a shame, too, because there's some great stuff in this movie, too. Some great messages. Tigger gets offended and he goes off and gets lost in a snowstorm, and his friends, of course, go after him to try and save him. They get into trouble too, and the groups kind of save each other. and realize that friends are the family that you get to choose. And that's a really good theme and a good message for kids and adults. But to get there, you have to go through some really weird stuff. So have the remote control handy for this one. You might not have the same reaction that I did and that my daughter did, but we're not going back to this one till age 4. Okay, now we're going to go on to the year 2002 and a very Merry Pooh year. It's a recycling of a 1991 TV special, Winnie the Pooh and Christmas 2. It tells the story of the time the gang wrote a letter to Santa asking for all the gifts they could possibly want, and Pooh manages to not deliver it on time, and this inspires him to dress up as Santa and deliver cheap knockoff versions of the gifts they all want to his friends. It's actually better than it sounds, and it's kind of a nice holiday story about the value of friendship over material things. At the right time of year, you might get a lot of mileage out of this one, so you may think about just buying it and having it in your queue, ready for the holidays. They're never that far off when you have kids, and you don't want to have to go searching for it. It's really appropriate for pretty much all ages. And now on to 2004's Springtime with Roo. It centers on Roo, of course. It's an Easter-themed springtime story. It involves rabbits' sort of OCD controlling tendencies about playing the Easter Bunny and having everyone do Easter his way. Of course, that all goes wrong, and he winds up alienating all his friends. And the narrator in this film becomes sort of a Jacob Marley type of influence, referencing A Christmas Carol, and teaches Rabbit the value of appreciating his friends for who they are, despite their imperfections and unwillingness to do things his way. It's a good film, not great. Got a few memorable songs in it and some jokes aimed at the adults that you'll get. We watch it every year at Easter. But like I said, it focuses on the fun parts of Easter and not the religious holiday, so it's pretty much watchable anytime. It's a good one to have around, and it's lots of fun. And building on the success of that Roo-themed story comes 2005's Pooh's Heffalump movie, which again singles out Roo. He's still too little here to go heffalump hunting when the gang decides that the 100-acre wood's being invaded by heffalumps. So Pooh sets out on his own and befriends Lumpy, a young heffalump who's been taught that Pooh and his friends are the real monsters in the 100-acre wood. The two begin to understand by playing together that they've been kept apart by fear and a mutual lack of understanding between their two cultures. Not a bad message for today's world if your child can get past some of the spookiness along the way. Once Roo and Lumpy meet up, though, it's a real joy of a movie, and it's really worth keeping on the shelf for years to come. My daughter kind of pushed through the spookiness factor here around age 3 when she could watch it without fast-forwarding. Any younger than that, and I'd have the fast-forward ready in hand. But do consider buying this one. It's pretty good. And then we wrap up with 2011's aptly titled Winnie the Pooh, narrated by none other than John Cleese, who, like his predecessor, Sebastian Cabot, really transcends the narrator duties here and becomes a lovable, if invisible, character all his own. The story is more than a loose retelling of Pooh's grand adventure, but by now the franchise has found its heart and its tone, so it's not a problem. The gang misreads, once again, a letter left by Christopher Robin saying that he'll be back soon, and they misinterpret this to mean that he's been kidnapped by a ferocious creature named the Back Sun, and they set out to rescue him. My daughter needed some fast-forwarding during the song, which ensues about how ferocious the Back Sun is. On subsequent viewings, it wasn't so bad, though, and if you stick around after the credits, you'll even meet the Back Sun. And he turns out to be really a nice fellow, and it makes subsequent viewings a lot less traumatic for young kids. The gang here is in high comic form. It really alleviates any tensions that have built up. And I say buy this movie. Don't just rent it, because you'll watch this many times. It's really head and shoulders above a lot of the titles here. And even for adults, you'll enjoy it too. All right. That is our list of 7 Winnie the Pooh movies that you can find readily at Netflix, Amazon, or other streaming services. There are a lot of Winnie the Pooh titles out there, but these are the ones that are easy for me to find and hopefully will be for you too. Cue one up for your next daddy-daughter movie night. Please like our videos if you like what we do here, and subscribe to our channel if you want to be notified of future episodes. And if you dare, go ahead and visit our Patreon page where you can help us improve the quality and frequency of our posts. Till next time, I'm Tom, and this is Daddy Daughter Movie Night.